It was only to be expected that the school increasingly played important roles in performing Fijian mekis and traditional singing either in public or privately on important national events, or to entertain important state visitors, especially British royalties, amongst whom were Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandra of Kent, at a private evening at Government House in 1965, and dancing in front of her when she came to open the South Pacific Games in 1978, singing for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and His Royal Highness Prince Philip at the state dinner at Government House in 1974, dancing and singing for His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles at Mbau at the Vunivalu's residence, and again at the state dinner at Veuto at the PM's Bure in 1980, and performing as part of a Suva School's pageant at the Independence Celebration in 1970, as well as other state functions like the Melrose Cup celebrations, or important international meetings hosted by Fiji, like the African, Caribbean and Pacific meetings. In the life of a school, the pulse of such an institution is often the rather mundane daily routine of activities. At Cakobau School, students will have fond and regrettable memories of the many school activities, such as make practice for the whole school on Monday afternoons after work, singing classes on Friday mornings after assembly, and hymn practices on Sunday evenings, clubs on Wednesday afternoons, Fijian handicraft classes, farm work on Tuesdays and Fridays, and being rewarded with 2 biscuits each after work. Farm work included mahogany planting and cleaning the undergrowth. Rice planting was often fun, especially if it was raining. Taking care of the chooks and nursing the day-old ones was certainly not for the rough handlers and the tomboys. And slaving away unnoticed in the breadfruit farm or citrus area were all part of farm work. There were, of course, essential duties to be performed at the school if it was to function as an institution. Becoming rubbish girls was a challenging one, because you had to empty all the rubbish tins, as well as dig the new rubbish holes. Being a cassava peeler if you were a junior girl required getting up earlier than 6 a.m. And if you were lucky, you could land a cushy job as a classroom monitor. Of course, who could forget the dreaded compound work and the wielding of blunt cane knives? Sa awatangana ifaele. The water lily song might conjure up for the old scholars a serene environment and the beautiful rolling lawns of Sawani. But I'm sure everyone would have, at one time or another, been subjected to wading with the toads and tadpoles in the muddy water lily pond as punishment. Practical housecraft was provided for the students in the top puri, where 4 girls would reside for 2 to 3 weeks, cooking for themselves and organizing their own routine, yet being expected to attend all school activities without default. I'm sure this was a very popular aspect of life at Sawan, especially the extra food rations and the traditional send-off feast on the last Saturday of their residency. Many students, having been separated from their parents for the whole term, could not get home quickly enough when it was school holidays. However, there was always a group of students whose parents were out in the islands and who could not go and live off their relatives during the school holidays. They would be allowed to stay behind during the school vacations. Those who were given this privilege would have found this to be the best time they spent at ACS. They slept in till 7, they ate well, they didn't work too hard, they went to town every Saturday, and above all, there was little or no supervision from the teachers. Who wouldn't prefer that kind of hostel life, I ask? Many ex-students will vividly recall the school becoming the venue during the term holidays for workshops and conventions, such as the ever-popular SCM, or Students' Christian Movement Camps, when students from different schools, both boys and girls, together with their teachers, came to camp for a week. The PASIO, or Pan-Pacific and Southeast Asian Women's Association Convention, where the girls learned to rub shoulders with women leaders representing the different ethnic groups in Fiji. The YWCA Pacific Regional Consultation, where the students not only catered for the conference, but also interacted with participants, who were women leaders from the region. And the Fijian Teachers Association workshops, where the students became active participants and even resorted to teaching the teachers the art of tapa making and stenciling. ACS, through its 60 years, has been closely associated with projects that promoted the empowerment of women and girls. It was therefore actively involved in fundraising activities aimed at either raising funds for charity or for projects for the school. The school began mounting a number of innovative activities that would also be educational and service-oriented. This included the many school concerts, the annual school open days, when the school would host everyone who was willing to pay 50 cents entry for afternoon tea, and good entertainment. The proceeds would go towards the work of the YWCA. The concert tours around Vitilevu was both educational for the students as well as for the communities visited, and was an exercise in public relations for the school. The many visits by fourth formers to Delkusha Girls' Hostel, St. Christopher's Home, the Old People's Home, as part of the girls' charity work, was an eye-opener and taught the girls to appreciate the little that they had and to share their joys with those less fortunate than them. In a boarding school like such as ACS, the isolation and lack of contact with members of the opposite sex of the same age needed to be addressed if the students' needs were to be met. Fortunately for Cakobau School, there was no shortage of opportunities. In the memories of any Cakobau School girl, they would always recall fond memories of socials with QVS, RKS, Eileen Memorial School, Maris Brothers, Navuso, and British Council Youth Club. The social events ranged from having debates, quiz, swimming, indoor games, talanoa sessions, and of course dancing, either with a live band or with a DJ. Whatever form they took, they provided opportunities to interact and be normal adolescents. For the girls, the stories would be retold over and over again and would get better and better each time. While the building of the first part of the tuition block was a milestone in the physical growth of ACS, the other significant events in the school's growth included the building of the multi-storied hostel, marking the reorganization of the hostel into houses rather than dormitories. They were named after native flowers: Udi, Langakali, Mokosoi, and Kakala. Now there are 5 houses, the 5th one being Charlton, dedicated to the first school principal. The opening of the new dining hall by the British High Commissioner in 1977 meant that more girls could be accommodated, and the dining hall was no longer open to driving wind and rain.